This is Spotlight Omaha. Spotlight Omaha is a local podcast that highlights local businesses and influential movers and shakers in the Omaha business community. Spotlight Omaha is brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing. Now, from the Pyramid Contractor Studios, the host of Spotlight Omaha, Jimmy Allen.
Good morning and welcome inside the Spotlight Omaha podcast, where we take you around the city of Omaha, introduce you local business owners, influential figures, and people who are making an impact on our community. We are brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing. If your company needs a website, or maybe you need to show up at the top of search engine optimization in your area and you're not doing so, you need to work with pixelfiremarketing.com. Check out pixelfiremarketing.com for more details today. Joining us inside the Pyramid Contractor Studio today is Joe Manzari with Midwest Removal. Joe, thanks for being here. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's only about the 11th time we've had to reschedule this, but we won't hold that against you.
This is my last chance.
What is what's Midwest Removal and what do you guys do?
Yeah, Midwest Removal is a local professional junk removal service serving the greater Omaha area. We'll pick up anything from a single item like a mattress all the way up to entire estate cleanouts, commercial space cleanouts. We'll do shed removal, swing set removal. Really, there's not a whole lot you can throw at us that we can't help out with.
Sure.
Yeah, that's a little bit about who we are.
When we talk about ebbs and flows of business, it's spring right now. I got to imagine this is going to be your guys' busiest time of the year, correct?
Yeah, it's definitely a business that has a lot of seasonality to it. When winter rolls around, people tend to hibernate and not want to
pile up junk.
Yeah. Not tackle all of the projects that they might want to tackle when the weather is nicer. So come spring and summer, it really starts to pick up for us, and that's when we're having to, make sure we have everyone on the team that's capable of handling the influx of business that we do get this time of year.
Website says you guys handle full garage and basement junk removal. Does that mean that you're going into people's homes and removing the junk for them? How does that process work? And how much of that is the customer doing things versus you guys kind of being hands-on as well?
Yeah. So how the process works is we have two-man teams that operate 14 cubic yard dump trucks, which is about the equivalent of like 5 to 7 regular pickup truck loads worth of stuff.
Sure.
We split that truck into different volume price points. That way you're only paying for the volume that you use in the truck. And those two-man teams will go into the home business, whether an item is upstairs, downstairs, needs disassembly. We come in, haul it out for you, load it up on the truck, and take it where it needs to go.
That's a really cool concept. I didn't realize that because it gives you, people don't know, right? They're like, oh, it's just junk. I mean, it'll fit in a dumpster, and then 2 dumpster loads later, they didn't realize how much crap they had in their house.
Absolutely.
Especially when you talk about swing sets and things like that of that nature. But I think it's an understanding that, hey, we're going to give you the opportunity to have this large container if you need it, but we're only going to charge you for what you use. That kind of the concept?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the differentiator between us and a roll-off container that's just going to sit in your driveway. There's definitely situations where that makes the most sense. If it's a long-term, renovation project, definitely get a roll-off container. But if you have a handful of stuff in the garage, in the basement, and you might not be able to move it, or it might not take up all of a container.
Right.
Our team can show up, give you a quote on what it would be to take all of that stuff. That way you're only paying for the volume that you use, and they're there and gone in the same day, and you don't have a container sitting in your driveway.
Is that kind of one of the big selling points also is, hey, you're not going to have this big clunky metal container out in front of your house for very long, and it'll be gone same day type scenario?
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely a full service offering. Pretty much doing everything for you. You just have to get us out there and tell us what you want us to do. And not having that container in your driveway or in your business can be an eyesore sometimes. But there's also a chance of someone in the neighborhood
seeing it. Yeah, sure. Kind of a double-edged sword.
Community coming by and them throwing their own stuff in there. And, they could throw a tire in there or, something that roll-off company doesn't want in there. Or overfill it, and then you're responsible for that extra charge.
I want to talk about the commercial versus residential side of things. You guys help businesses as well. How much of your company is focused on residential versus commercial, and which side has the room for most growth?
Yeah. Right now it's like a 50-50 split for us in terms of our revenue between residential and commercial. definitely both a large focus for us.
Sure.
They have their unique wants and needs. But residential is usually a homeowner that is looking to get rid of some furniture, or maybe a loved one passed away and they need to clean out their home or apartment. And then on the commercial side, it's a lot of real estate investors, real estate agents, and multifamily communities. So apartment communities that have people that might, pick up and move and leave some stuff behind, or again, those dumpsters that might be in those garden style communities, people, whether they're residents or in neighboring communities, coming by and leaving couches, mattresses around those dumpsters.
What's the biggest difference between doing a multifamily apartment style clean out versus just a standalone residential home?
I think the biggest difference for us is probably the customer experience. On the residential side, we're very informative about our pricing, very informative about our process, and very informative about how we're going to handle each job. On the commercial side, these are relationships that we're growing, year over year, and they keep bringing us back because we're a vital part of, their business as well. So it becomes a little bit more systematic and routine on the commercial side, which is nothing wrong with that. But the residential side, we really put a large focus on the customer experience
because it's their biggest investment, right?
Yeah.
We were talking a little before the camera was going on about the growth you guys have experienced over the last couple of months. Omaha is also growing. Is it fair to say that's hand in hand with the way Midwest Removal is growing? Is because of the way the city is growing?
Yeah, absolutely. I think like the amount that Omaha has grown since I've moved here, and I've been here 8 years now, and
it's almost a completely different city.
Yeah, it definitely is. You start to feel how many people are really here now.
Sure.
And we're getting the rumors about the big things in town that we might be getting, IKEA being one of them.
Yeah, fingers crossed. I was thinking more of the NHL hockey team, but sure.
Yeah, that would be great as well. But yeah, we're definitely seeing an increase of business, and I think it's because there's more people moving here.
Yeah, a lot of new construction.
Yeah, a lot of new construction. A lot of people, moving into new homes as well, and having to get rid of old furniture and buy new furniture.
We met each other through networking. You do a lot of networking as well. How much of your time as a business owner is focused on scheduling jobs, hiring employees, etc., versus growing the business outside of the business with networking, establishing relationships, things like that?
Yeah, it's a good question, and I think you touched on it at the beginning here, the fact that I had to reschedule on you a couple times. So
sure,
being a business,
you're the only one that's ever done that, by the way. Wink, wink.
Yeah. It's definitely a volatile schedule. Anything can happen, and it all falls back on me most times to handle stuff. But I do have an amazing team in place. Our general manager and our operations manager really take a lot of the burden off of me, so that I can go out and do a podcast and talk about Midwest Removal. I go to those networking events that you are talking about. So now getting more towards not handling operations so much. I've invested a lot of time to set that up so that it can.
Is it difficult for you?
It was hard at first. Yeah, you definitely
to take your hands off.
Have a fear of, people can't do it as well as I can.
Because things never go wrong in business either.
Never. It's always a well-oiled machine.
Yeah.
But you have to do it if you want to serve more customers and provide. I think what we have is an amazing service. And all of our customers would say the same, I believe. So being able to serve more customers, you have to pony up and start to do some big business boy things so that you can, grow and serve those customers. We're
catching up with Joe Manzari, who wore his big boy pants today on the Spotlight Omaha podcast, brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing and Pyramid Contractors. I want to talk a little bit about the business itself. We've had a couple of mutual friends that you and I were discussing in here that do similar things, not exactly the same, but most of them were like, I never saw myself working in trash. You guys are in junk removal. Why was junk removal the calling for you?
It was a couple of like a home service business was kind of the calling when I wanted to make the jump from my previous W-2 job to being a business owner. and I had done a bunch of research on low barrier to entry, businesses. That way, if I did fail, that the hurt wouldn't be too significant. But I actually had a buddy I went to college with. We had similar paths, went into similar careers right out of college. And him and his buddy in Nashville wanted to invent some product. They needed cash in order to, make this product.
Yeah.
And in order to generate some cash, they started a junk removal business there in Nashville. And that blew up.
Yeah.
And they forgot about the product entirely and just ran with that.
Sure.
And he's since gone on and purchased another business and is now growing that. So he kind of gave me the high level overview of how it runs, how junk removal business can run, and kind of held my hand through the process. So he was a pivotal part.
His name is
Mike Medway.
Shout out to Mike Medway. I just want to make sure we give him a shout out.
Yeah.
Midwest Removal is not a franchise, correct?
This is
standalone entity.
Ground up, started here in Omaha. Found a great team to help me obviously build the brand and the website and whatnot, but everything was from scratch, and that was in late 2021 that we got started with all of that.
Really interesting time in human history around then, obviously coming off the heels of the pandemic during that time. Did the pandemic have anything to do with you kind of deciding to start this business as well?
It did, yeah. So I was in an outside sales role in the dental space before.
Sure.
Yeah. So
really tough time to be in that. Well, really tough time to be in that industry too.
Yeah. So I was going into dental offices all day, every day. So when the pandemic hit, obviously everyone got shut down, and then when things started to pick back up, it took even longer to get back into the offices because obviously it's a healthcare space and there's
have people with their mouth open the whole time.
That unless they're patients or clinicians. So that changed my role a little bit, and definitely I had some time to think about what I wanted the next 5-10 years of my life to look like, and went down this rabbit hole of starting my own business. And I had some, small business acumen, if you will, with the training that I had at the company that I was at. They really educated us well on how to have conversations with these dental office owners, these dentists, on how to grow their business. So that was helpful, and I guess giving me the confidence to make the jump and see if I could do it on my own.
We talked about rapport building, but with networking things, but you guys obviously have to have a pretty good relationship with like landfills, recycling centers and stuff. How are you guys managing those relationships?
Yeah. Transfer stations is like a huge role in our service. And that's where, unfortunately, a handful of things go that we do take. And we drop stuff off there. They sort through it. What can get recycled gets recycled. What can't ends up in the landfill. And we really only use one or two places in town, and we have some pretty close relationships there. I think that's
you have to, right?
You have to, yeah. And I think that's also just a piece of Omaha. Everyone's pretty friendly.
Fair.
And they're, I would say like business partners to us almost. It's a healthy relationship, and we pass stuff back and forth.
Well, it's good for them because they get paid. It's good for you guys because you have to have someone to put this stuff, right?
Absolutely.
You guys win best of for junk removal in 2025. What does that mean to you personally?
A lot. That was definitely a goal of mine when we got started. It actually wasn't a category anymore because it wasn't getting voted for enough.
Sure.
So Omaha Magazine dropped it. And
come on, KETV.
Yeah. I had a handful of conversations with them to get that back as a category. And I think we got first place, which we're really thankful for. And I think some other, local service offerings in town were recognized as well. So that's always good because some of our competition is really good at what they do as well.
You guys remove appliances. Not a lot of dumpsters or roll-off companies are able to do that. Why is it a big deal for you guys to be able to offer that service?
A lot of appliances break.
Sure. Fair.
So, and people get new appliances all the time. And it's a big part of what we do. Unfortunately, as kind of a disclaimer, we can't unhook it from water, and we can't.
It's an insurance thing
from electrical or gas.
Gas, yeah.
Insurance thing. liability if that water doesn't shut off.
Right.
We go shut it off. So same thing for hot tubs. We can't disconnect the electrical before we take it. So fair warning to everyone, have that stuff disconnected before we come out. But yeah, we can take pretty much any appliance and dispose of it properly.
Are most people willing to understand that you can't do that? Okay.
Yeah, it's not usually a problem.
Okay. I know some Karens. That's the only reason I asked.
Yeah. Well, I've also made the mistake of
accidentally doing it.
Disconnecting.
Yeah. What's the biggest hurdle facing Midwest Removal right now?
Ooh. Competition. There's a lot of good competition in
Sure.
town. Then there's an influx of new franchises for junk removal coming to town. So we have to be on top of our game.
Yeah.
And
how do you do that? Define
shouting out the sponsor, Pixel Fire Marketing, having someone like that in your corner is extremely helpful, because these franchises have a team of people that are focused on making sure that their services show up online or in the city of where they're operating to the most amount of potential customers as possible.
And Pixel Fire Marketing can do that for you. Sorry,
absolutely.
Good.
So you really have to compete on every level. You have to be firing on all cylinders in order to stay in the game with these large franchises.
I want to unpack that answer, because I'm really intrigued by that, because one of the conversations that keeps coming up in this room, whether it be a deck builder or a real estate agent or a plumber or whoever, is there's so much work out there. I give work to so-and-so who on paper would be my direct competitor, and we work together. Is that not the case in the junk removal industry?
It is and it isn't.
Probably depends on who it is, right?
Out there for everyone, but junk removal.
Let me rephrase it.
Yeah.
You mentioned franchises and out of town. Is it more of if I'm going to do it, I want to do it for somebody that's down the street from me versus somebody that's moving in trying to take over the territory?
You're saying from a customer point of view?
Yeah, no, from who you would give business to in the competitor space.
Yeah, definitely.
Sure.
Would like to keep it local as much as possible.
Because that seems to be, and I didn't look at it that way, because that kind of seems to be everybody's answer is, oh, I'll work with so and so because we have mutual connections and we work here. But if 1-800 whoever comes in, we don't want to give it to them.
I would say though, it's not a service that everybody needs.
Good point.
And it's also sort of a luxury service.
Sure.
To be able to afford to pay someone to come throw some trash away at your house is, a luxury service.
Because your friends don't want beer and pizza anymore. Just pay somebody to come do it.
They do not. No, they do not. Especially with,
larger
cost of everything.
And larger appliances and things like that.
Yeah. So you really have to focus on staying in front of the customer and advertising yourself well enough so that you can try and target the customer that does want to use your service.
And we're catching up with Joe Manzari here of Midwest Removal on the Spotlight Omaha podcast, brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing and Pyramid Contractors. And I think that's the last time we got to mention Pixel Fire. We've given them enough love today. You guys are looking for furniture donations. Why?
Absolutely. In years past, it's not something that we have focused on a whole lot, in that we haven't found a great donation partner for us in town to work with. And recently, we've built somewhat of a relationship with the Furniture Project in town. They're a local nonprofit that was started by a firefighter. His name's Drew Gherkin. I hope I don't mispronounce that. But him and his, squadron went out on a job one time, and they went into this apartment of his family, and they had no furniture. So he and his team took it upon themselves to get the community together to reach out and help this family furnish their apartment. And I think that's what sparked the idea for him to start a nonprofit. And they work with local agencies that help people in need that are trying to get rehoused or are now housed, and they're going into a new home or apartment and need furniture and housewares, linens. The Furniture Project takes donations of all of those things, puts them in a warehouse, and those individuals that are in need of that service can come by and basically shop the warehouse to furnish their new home or apartment. So it's a mission that we can really get behind, and we feel good about taking the furniture donations that we do get there. So that's something that we're looking to do more of this year because it's a better end result for everyone.
I don't know how to phrase this properly. Is there a law or a reason why, if you guys were able to get something that's still clearly very usable and almost new through Midwest Removal, that you guys could or couldn't donate to a service like that? Is there something that would prevent that?
There is not. No.
Okay.
As soon as the furniture or whatever it is gets on our truck, it's legally our property.
That's what I was gonna. I guess that's more what I was asking. We've kind of covered a lot here. How can people find Midwest Removal, and what does the process look like if they're looking to get rid of some junk?
Absolutely. You can find us online at midwestremoval.com, or you can give us a call at 402-318-5241. You can either call or use our convenient online booking feature. Typically, a truck team will come out, you show them everything that you want hauled away, and they'll give you a free quote on site.
And
If you're
upfront
happy
pricing.
with that quote,
Yeah.
they'll haul it away right then and there. If not, you can always turn them away. It's a free quote. There's no obligation.
Why is that a big deal for you?
That's the best way that we can give customers the best price up front. If we're trying to guess over the phone based off a description,
And
we might give you a price that's way too high.
People may not know how to correctly measure or weigh things too,
Right.
correct? Yeah.
But also sometimes we get on site and they see something else that they want to get rid of, or
Sure.
we ask them about that hot tub that might be falling apart in the backyard.
Right.
They might not know that that's a service that we offer.
Sure.
So we're always happy to come out.
I'm not gonna lie. When you said that, my eyes raised. I wouldn't assume that would be something you guys do. Is that a pretty frequently requested thing? Is to get rid of a hot tub?
Yeah. There's a lot of.
Why do they break so much? Why do they break so much? They're just like, I don't know. But if you need to know an Arctic Spa, it's friends of the channel. Feel free to reach out to them. Free plug for you, Chris. You're welcome. We've covered a lot. Is there anything about Midwest Removal we haven't mentioned that people should know about?
I think if you just have something you're looking to get rid of or donate or recycle, and you're not sure what to do with it or not capable of handling it yourself, give us a call. The worst we can say is no.
Sure.
But
you're gonna say no for free anyway.
At least, point you in the right direction. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I appreciate you finally getting time to do this with us, man.
Yes.
I'm glad we were able to finally do it. That's Jim Manzari with Midwest Removal. If you have some junk laying around, you need to get rid of it, head over to midwestremoval.com. Appreciate you for doing this, man. We'll talk to you down the road.
Thank you so much.
This has been the Spotlight Omaha podcast. We'll be back on Tuesday. We're going to enjoy the holiday with the rest of you as well. We'll be back at Tuesday at 11. If you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. We'll see you on Tuesday. Enjoy your holiday weekend.